industrial and manufacturing. These are big businesses. Okay, these are big businesses or workplaces where tangible physical goods or products are made using machines and tools. That's where you'll find your artisans operating. You'll find your operators who produce goods, whether it is steel production, whether it is producing products that are used in the construction industry. All those are big industrial, as long as there's manufacturing of tangible products, then it's industrial manufacturing. And there is use of big machinery here. There is use also of tools. Therefore, there is need for people to be trained to operate the machinery that's there. Some of it is moving, and how to handle tools. There you need your skills, like your artisans, like your mechanics, your operators, and so on. An example of that will be a car factory that manufactures vehicles, your textile manufacturing plants where goods are produced, like clothes that we really use. But they will also they can also include big industries where foods are produced. I've seen industries that are very big, that operate big machinery, where your bread is manufactured. There's a lot of where bread is produced. Sorry, but that's still big industry because they are producing goods on a daily basis, and they're using tools. There's skills needed. There is also healthcare and medical services. Okay, healthcare and medical. Okay, I would like to share this on the board. There's also healthcare and medical. All right. So our third one was industrial and manufacturing, and then the fourth one is healthcare and medical services. Remember, we're talking about common types of workplaces. Once again, I have to state here that these are not conclusive as well. There can be more, but we just put this up as examples so that you can formulate ideas of what a workplace, what we mean, and give examples of the common types. Healthcare and medical workplaces are places that focus on treating and caring for patients, or for people who have who are sick, who are not feeling well. So where there's treating, where there's caring for patients, your places like hospitals, like I don't know whether you call it hospital or hospital, depending on which school you went to, but those are healthcare services. It's still a workplace. To the patient, it's a place where they go to get services, but to the cleaner at the hospital, to the nurse, to the doctor, to other people, to the radiographer, to people who make the workplace function, and who provide those services. It is a workplace. So what you may see as just any other place where you get services, to the person who is employed there, who provides their skill and their knowledge in that place, it is a workplace. Okay. So we say these examples of these would be your hospitals, your clinics, but also your pharmacies as well, where you go to buy medicines. Those are workplaces. Well, how can I forget education and training? That's the field that I'm involved in. Okay, so there's also education and training. I will use abbreviation here for the sake of saving space. All right, so education and training as well. This is where places where people teach and learn new skills. That's where you find your teachers, your professors at university, your lecturers at colleges, your teachers in high school and in primary school. Those are education and training services providers. That's a workplace for the people who work there. Okay. Let's move. The last one, unfortunately, I've run out of space on my board. I'll just mention it. uh, remote and online work. Remote and online work. We, I think since COVID, we have seen people increasingly working from home, and I think it's not only the bad stuff that came out of COVID. It taught us that people can be equally productive and perform their tasks and job working from home. Well, obviously they are saving on transport costs. The businesses are saving on office space if where they are hiring or where they are leasing buildings. They can save by people working from home and still doing the same kind of job that they are doing. This particularly works with service provision, not particularly with provision of goods, with those businesses that provide services like training, like people who work in offices, in insurance, people who work in sales where they have to sell sales and marketing of their companies or businesses or products that their companies provide. So these can be done online without people not without people necessarily having to go and sit in an office to work. Okay. So, and in these types of businesses, okay, uh, there are different kinds of dressing, structured work schedules. For example, in a corporate office, people will be required to dress formally, a shirt, maybe sometimes, and a tie for the gentleman. We're going to talk about those things as we proceed. While in a retail store, that requires people, workers or employees to interact with the customers throughout the day. They may have clothes that identify them with that particular brand or that particular retail brand, so that when customers come in, they are able to see who they can ask for help if they need any, right? We are going to talk now about the importance of professionalism and work ethic in the workplace. It's really an important topic, this one. Many people tend to think that I can go into the workplace, behave anyhow, as long as I get my job done. We really need to understand that when we are in the workplace, we are in a place that is in an environment that we share or that we operate in together with other people. So it's if you only think about yourself in the workplace, you are doing a disservice. You can also be causing a disruption, because you may find yourself that you are interfering in the workspaces of other people, and therefore they are not able to produce or and perform to their optimal ability. You need also to learn that you work with other people. What you do affects how other people perform their tasks. You don't want to be as an obstacle or a hindrance to the overall objective of the company being achieved. What therefore is professionalism? Let's define it. Please, while I define professionalism, I would also like to have you think and research on your own definitions of what you think professionalism is. I would prefer, really, I would have liked an environment where we can interact and talk, and I get your views. But I understand that some of you are going to view this one at a later time. You would have the privilege of having to pause this recording and just go and search and find, and if possible, come up with your own definitions and see whether they match with mine, whether you can you can also make a contribution. That's the idea, to the overall definition. But professionalism simply means, talks to your behavior at the workplace. It means behaving in a respectful, responsible, and disciplined manner. If you're not, I have used three words there to define in my definition of professionalism. There are three words that I have used. I would love to write them down so that we can keep them in your face, that you don't easily forget them. I spoke about behaving in a respectful, so there is the element of respect. There is the element of responsibility. There is also the element of uh, discipline, basically. So when we talk about professionalism, I want you to keep these three things in mind. There's respect. Here we're talking about professionalism. There is respect, responsibility, and discipline. At work, it involves, I'll mention some. It may involve your dressing, that's professionalism, the way you dress up. It may also involve the way that you communicate. It also involves following the workplace rules. It also involves being punctual. Punctuality, many are found wanting in this area, and also being reliable. Okay, so when we talk about professionalism, we talking about some of those things. Do you dress appropriately in the workplace? Are you able to communicate in a professional way? Do you use the professional language? Do you know how to address your fellow employees? Or do you just shout at people at the workplace? Well, for starters, when you are starting in a new environment, you are used to an environment where people shout at each other. I've had the experience of working with people in an industrial setup where they work with mechanics, and sometimes the language or the way that they address it befits that because if somebody doesn't get it hard in that language, it may cause accident, it may cause other people getting injured. It may be necessary that they are communicated to in a way that would seem to a person who has always existed in the corporate office. It may sound rude to the person at the corporate office, but to artisans, it is the language that is used, and they are used to being addressed in such a language. So communication may vary according to the industry that you, or to the workplace, type of workplace that you find yourself in. It may not be the same everywhere. Okay.